It's the Sittin Sportside podcast.
Can't wait.
With Cody Marshall.
Did you just get here? Can you give him your notes?
And Eric Hanman.
I have dedicated my life to this team, okay?
Exclusively on 1045theteam.com.
And welcome into a special edition of the Sittin Sportside podcast, because they're all special, Cody. Just me, myself, Eric Hanman, and Cody Marshall.
They're all special when we always have a different cast.
Yeah, exactly. And there's only been one constant, not to brag.
It's a roll of the dice. Nobody could ever predict who's going to be involved in any of our podcasts.
Plethora of co-hosts on this show. It's sensational. And you know what's even more sensational is Rafael Nadal's performance at the French Open. This is our French Open Sittin Sportside podcast recap and a bit of a Wimbledon preview in a way. We'll talk a little bit and touch on the grass season as it approaches. But my man Cody Marshall, we got texted throughout this 2-week-ish journey.
It was fun.
It was fun.
We got to pick on each other. We got to go over. I re-listened to that podcast.
Did you? Oh, man.
Fell asleep, kind of, during parts of it.
We better shake this
Not
up.
because we were boring. Because we were boring. I was just really comfortable.
Should I put a bed underneath this?
Heated blankets do wonders, even in the summertime. I'm amazed at how relatively well we did, I guess, kind of. And the men's side, Stan Wawrinka, who is my favorite men's tennis player, went all the way to the finals. Unfortunately,
I think it's crazy how of a late bloomer he is, man. I didn't realize he's only 30. Not only that he is 32,
and he's the only one of besides Djokovic, when you consider Nadal and Federer, who has been playing in the last, I don't know how many majors in a row, hasn't taken time off. And someone posted his statistics, like in the last few majors, he's got 9 semifinal appearances. He had 4 finals, 4 titles, something like that. But it was insane. That was the first time he's ever lost.
He has 3 Grand Slam titles, and he's got 1 in each year. So he's won one in 2014, 15, and 16. So he's got 2 more chances. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Just needs Wimbledon to complete the career Grand Slam.
I believe so. Yeah, that's true.
And that was the first time that he ever lost in a final, was against Rafael Nadal.
Who didn't drop a set, man.
When
Clay, and unbelievable 10 French Open titles. That's pretty crazy.
And to hear people say that the level he was on was the best that they've ever seen him just goes to show that it didn't matter who.
Are we at liberty to say there's 3 guarantees in life: death, taxes, and Rafael Nadal on clay? Maybe, just maybe. But yeah, man, and the time difference gets me because with our job, I'm not complaining at all, but with our job, sometimes the hours don't work. We've talked about on a previous podcast about soccer, and that's tough to watch sometimes because it plays late. Well, the time difference is just about the same. And
6 hours.
6 hours. Just one more.
It's hard to. I wanted to watch the final because Stan was in it,
right?
And I realized it was 3 p.m. Paris time,
right?
That's 9 a.m. here. And number one, I don't have a problem getting up for 9 a.m. anymore, but to be able to watch immediately and be like, hey, and it's the only Grand Slam that's not on ESPN. It's on NBC.
Wow.
And so I probably would have been like, no, let me skip over to ESPN, and then I would have missed the first serve. And then why watch the rest of it, right?
Why watch the rest of it, man? Yeah, I agree.
And then on the women's side, completely out of nowhere.
Well, let's just preface it by saying we knew going in that finally we wouldn't have a favorite. It could come out of nowhere, right? Like we kind of knew that. But then Kerber goes down immediately.
And I had told you that I was not set on Kerber.
You did. That was the one I was like, you got me, man.
That she's always scares me. And I don't think that she's truly a number 1 player. I thought we had good picks. You went with Simona Halep. I had Caroline Wozniacki, who was looking really good.
Until I might
and then lost to...
Did I jinx her?
Ostapenko.
Nice.
A little tribute there to Gary Thorne. But Yelena Ostapenko.
20-year-old female. How does it make you feel? And we were born in the same year. That someone who was born in the year 97 just made millions of dollars and won a French Open.
You know what? I've dwelled on it, and I've thought to myself, if I decided to become a professional tennis player, I could be mediocre and still make, I don't know, $22,000 for not even winning a match in a tournament.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
there's money in it. There's money in the game.
I'm not saying we should do it.
Hey, I'm not bad at
saying.
doubles. If you wanted to try to go in with doubles, I would.
And did you hear the story about the doubles? Did you see who won the men's doubles?
I did see. I just didn't.
Ryan Harrison.
Oh,
and I forget who he was partnered with. Hang on a second.
Not the mix. The double.
The actual men's doubles that for years was dominated by the Bryan brothers,
right?
Who have shown their age, and I think they're another one that we can wonder whether or not they're gonna win one. And
who else, Cody?
Michael Venus, both of the United States, and Ryan Harrison had come on as singles, as I believe he was the best person who came up from the boys level into the men's a couple years ago, but really hasn't performed all that well in men's singles, and now he's got his first Grand Slam.
There you go. But moving forward, which I think is interesting and kind of unfortunate for tennis. I know we got the Rafi Federer final in Australia. Talk about a time difference, it's tough, but but we got that over there. It's kind of interesting that the next two, we don't have another chance probably to see them again, probably to U.S. Open, because Federer, he takes off on clay, and it looks like Nadal, with his age and his knees, aren't going to want to play on grass, so he probably gets sit out the Wimbledon. So, what do you think? Do you think it's Federer's to lose, or do you think Andy Murray will go back-to-back at Wimbledon?
I think it's Andy Murray's to lose because, number one, he's the hometown guy. He's the guy that everybody's going to be pulling for.
And it's pretty crazy. I know you don't necessarily count Djokovic, because I think he just turned 30, and then Murray's only 30. But this could be the first time, I believe, since 1969 that all 4 Grand Slams on the men's side are won by a guy 30 or older. Obviously, the 36-year-old Federer, and
somewhere around
32-year-old or 31-year-old Nadal, and the rest of them, Vavrinka's 32. The rest of them are around 30. So it's really dominant. Your boy, and he played well. He upset Djokovic, but he's the only one I could really think of that I could see him. Dominic.
Team. I think it's crazy because you look at these guys. It's crazy to fathom that, to a degree, 30 is considered old in tennis, especially the way people were talking about Stan Wawrinka at 32. And like you said, being a late bloomer, because obviously he was trying to get all these titles, and then all of a sudden he didn't get it until, let's see, 3 years. So he was 29, 30-ish when he won his first one. It's amazing how we have been waiting for someone to come in and be the next guy up.
Right.
But we're still seeing...
I do see it in Thiem, but...
We're still seeing Djokovic.
And you hate Kyrgios.
Yeah, if Kyrgios never makes it to be the next guy, I'll be the first one to cut the cake, throw the confetti. I just don't think he represents the sport well enough.
Fair enough. Preach.
But the training that these guys go through just shows that, number one, you have to work in order to stay at the top of this, and for the younger guys, it's not paying off for them. I mean, Dominic Thiem, we mentioned, is getting up there, but I thought by now someone would finally win.
Maybe break through and get his name out there.
A Grand Slam. And it wouldn't be a Murray, a Nadal, a Vavrinka, a Federer,
but
or
it's still
Djokovic.
theirs to lose.
It's still those.
Still theirs to lose. And now it's kind of more of a conversation. It's kind of shifted to, like, who's the next man to, well, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Nadal or Federer who ends up with the most? Obviously, Federer's got that 3 Grand Slam lead right now, but I think it'll be interesting. Obviously, when you have you're sitting out, Wimbledon.
Exactly. And
that's going to make it harder, but...
And how do you close the gap? How do you close the gap when Federer took off the French? Nadal, we're talking, might take off Wimbledden.
Yep.
I just don't see it. And
well,
nobody else
into
is close
this year,
right
it
now.
was like, Djokovic is going to make a push to be like, if he could win 2 this year, then he'd suddenly be within, I guess it would be 4 if you gave the one the Australia. Because everyone expected him to win Australian Open before that colossal breakdown. But Federer won it, so that turns into 4 if he can still win 2 more. But the story going in this year for me was like, will Novak Djokovic get to a position where next year we're talking about, is he going to catch Federer? Instead it's turned into, it's Federer in Nadal's game again.
And we don't know what's going on with Novak. We're looking at a guy who was number 1 in the world.
Do you think more time with Agassi? Because that was jumped on right before French. So is more time with Agassi help him, or?
I don't know. Because I haven't seen Andre Agassi's
Yeah.
Someone as a coach, I haven't seen. I'm assuming he's probably coached somebody in between.
Right.
This whole Djokovic saga. But,
Yeah.
You look at some people just don't respond. You're looking at Stan Wawrinka, who attributes most of his success to Magnus Norman, who's his current coach.
Mm-hmm.
And some coaches just don't work. And I think that when you're at the top of your game, like Djokovic was, everything's working with your coach. And I fail to see where all of a sudden things just stop working because you're in a routine and everything. You know how to train. You know what's expected of you. The coach knows what's expected. And all of a sudden you go out and fire him because you're having a down year.
Is that the right move?
Right. And if Agassi if he can't adjust to having Andre Agassi as his coach, is there any way to stay at the top? I mean, I'm sure.
No.
I don't think he's going to drop out of the top 32 anytime soon. But is he at risk of dropping into the 10s and lower than that? I mean, it's certainly a question. There are some players who become coaches who are great, and some who they just cannot develop a strong enough relationship with them. You look at Andy Murray gets his first Wimbledon win, I'm almost positive, with Amalie Mauresmo as his coach. I mean, a woman coaching Andy Murray, nobody thought that
Billie Jean,
right? And nobody thought that. Everybody was like, okay, this is kind of a questionable move, but Amalie Mauresmo is a heck of a tennis player, and she was even probably a better coach than the 60% of the other male coaches in that. I mean,
probably,
what she did with Andy Murray is nothing short of amazing, and
history.
It's only gotten better for him. And I think him being willing to take on her and listen to her knowledge as far as the game, because everybody will say, well, the men's and women's game is different.
It's really not.
It's not, but
maybe one, you got 2 more sets possibly.
You got 2 more sets, the endurance, obviously the speed as far as serves. I mean, Serena aside, but to be willing to take on what she had learned throughout her career, it certainly was a brave move, and it paid off. And that's what this is for Djokovic. And now you got to see, if it pays off, great. He's going to be a world number 1 again. But I just don't see it being an overnight, just all of a sudden things click. I don't see Djokovic winning a major this year. I think it's really hard as an individual to switch coaches in the middle of a season and be able to compete at the same level that you were at.
I think it'll be
your
interesting
best.
to see how he does in these next few tournaments here. And I think the big point to bring up is who I was disappointed with after French. Would that be Venus Williams? But she doesn't play that great on clay in her history. So, well, she does play well. And I believe 5 or 7 total Grand Slams. She's won on grass at Wimbledon. So I'm looking to give her the favorite. I don't know if she's the favorite, but she's probably gonna be my pick heading into Wimbledon. Kind of getting that kind of that hope that maybe she can get one more, especially with her sister not there to be able to beat her. And then lastly, I wanted to bring up Victoria Azarenka, who's gonna get her career back and started. That's like I don't want to like sound like I'm giving empty praise. I'm truly amazed that you could have had a baby. I don't know if I'm wrong. I think she had a baby in December. Yeah. And she's already going to start her season. Like that's commendable to me that she didn't take the whole next year off. She's trying to come back and make a grass court season. So good for her, and she'll be back probably playing Wimbledon. And then obviously the big story, not to cut you off here, but the big story is that now Maria Sharapova dropping out on the women's side heading into Wimbledon. And it makes it for the same situation we were in before. Who's going to win Wimbledon on the women's side? I mean, Ostapenko moves up to 12th in the rankings. That's another thing before I move to the women's is Djokovic now is 4th in the world. And the lower that ranking is, and I know this because Stan has been 3 for so long, but those draws, they get so hard to get to finals. That's true. When you're not the 1 or 2 in the world because of who you end up matching up against. I do overlook that, or underlook that. Over. It is overlook, but you can over and underlook whichever one you want to do. I think underlook works better. I think they both do. But I just don't know that that's a word. I overlook that. I think sometimes when I look at the draws of these seeds, like the seeds are that important because of that reason. So yeah, I think I overlooked that a little bit. But Yeah, well, who do you like in the women's side moving forward? We might talk about it beforehand, but I'm not sure we will because I'll be on vacation when the Wimbledon starts. So
right. If she plays at the same level, you can tell by her Snapchat videos and everything, she's putting in the work. Victoria Azarenka is. If she is competing at a high level, she's my favorite. Nice. I think her biggest roadblock of her career has been everybody's roadblock, Serena Williams. It doesn't matter how far she goes, because unlike Wozniacki, Caroline Wozniacki was up towards the top, and ironically, she's never won a major.
Right, she hasn't.
But then she fell off, and we
talked about this.
She's been ranked, and then all of a sudden she just can't piece it together. She doesn't get to quarterfinals. Victoria Azarenka consistently, whether she's seeded or not, plays as we expect her to. And unfortunately for her, when she's unseeded, she runs into a ranked Serena Williams relatively early on and loses. And lately it's been pretty handedly. But
the pride of
when
Belarus.
She's seeded, she's very dangerous because she's usually the top seed in her quarter, and then she is able to make the big runs. I just think that if without Serena Williams, Victoria Azarenka's career, the accolades
might be a little
multiplied by 2 or 3 because of how good of a player she is.
It's crazy how who is a really good tennis player and really good at their sport can, their achievements, I don't want to use the word diminish because it takes away, right, from what she's been able to do. But for an all-time great player can diminish how the achievement looks of someone like Azarenka's career. And the last note that I want to bring up before we end here, and this is going back to what this is all about, the French Open recap. To me, this seems like a missed opportunity for Simona Halep. She's never won one, right? Am I mistaken?
No, she hasn't.
So she hasn't won a Grand Slam yet. And to me, I'm not saying she'd never get this opportunity again, but to me, this seems like a missed opportunity because not only you're talking about, obviously, the lack of Serena Williams, even if you want to talk about the lack of Sharapova and Azarenka, she was able to get to the final and lose to Ostapenko, right?
Yeah, Ostapenko. Yeah, and despite being up a set and then 3-love in the second set.
She in the semis, she had her own comeback, right, against Pliskova, right?
Pliskova,
yeah. You have the pronunciations down, Pat. But she was down what? 5? Was she down 5-0 in the second set? And she came back or something like that?
She might. Yeah, I think she was down.
She was
5-1.
5-1. And she came back and won that set and then went on to win 6-0 in the third set. And then she kind of got reversed in the final. She had a 1-0 lead, was up 3-0, and then all of a sudden, Ostapenko just starts having fun, and she comes back and wins it. And I think this might be a missed opportunity when we look back at Halep's career, possibly. Because I feel like, and maybe put me in my place if I'm wrong, I feel like women's careers are a little bit shorter usually. I mean, I saw the Panettas of the world. She going out a little earlier than I guess I expected her to. Maybe it's because she wanted to go out on top with the major win in the U.S. Open. But I just feel like maybe Halep made a loss. The best, maybe, I don't know about the best, but one of the only opportunities she might get at a Grand Slam.
Right. That was her second final appearance, and her only final appearances so far have both been at the French Open. The farthest she's gotten any other slam, looking at it, she's been to semifinals in each Wimbledon and U.S. Open. She's only done it once for each one. She's only been in the quarterfinals in the Australian Open.
And I think before you say what you say, I think what those two things we just mentioned shows is maybe a lack of focus, right? Because she built dug that hole down against Pliskova, and then she comes back, and then the opposite happens to her. How can you let that happen so much? And maybe is it just miscues and whatnot?
I think Ostapenko said it perfectly. When she was down 3-love,
right?
She's an unranked 20-year-old. What does she have to lose?
Right. It's a great quote.
There's nothing that she could have done that would have made us think she really didn't deserve to be there. Because she played, she upset all these seeded players.
I called her phenom. You said I'm absolutely
I'm
insane.
hesitant to do it because the only thing I knew, I believe I had watched a video on her against Naomi Brody, and she blew up. I think she got in trouble for racket abuse and everything. All I know is she got in trouble. I think they called the match and gave Brody a win. I don't really remember, but she's been known, and she's just been too inconsistent from what I've seen. And that's to be expected at 20 years old.
Right.
But we were talking the same time a year or two ago about Belinda Bencic and how we thought she was going to be the next one after she beat Serena Williams in one of the majors. And now she's not even in the top 60, I believe.
Wow.
So I don't want to say that she's a phenom yet.
I went there, but That's just me being too brash, probably.
But Simona Halep, her worst tournament, as I've said, is the Australian Open. The next one after that is Wimbledon. So she won't be a favorite there. She made it to the quarters last year. But as far as what you're saying with the career, she's certainly not. She's going to be one of the people who's like, if she can make a run, and that's pretty much what it comes down to with every tournament. She certainly has the opportunity to take advantage of all these people who aren't going to be
real quick, what's your favorite Grand Slam tournament? I always favor Wimbledon, so I'm really looking forward.
Grand Slam.
I'm really looking forward to Wimbledon because I always like it. I'm always seem to be on vacation when Wimbledon's going on, so that's probably why I like it a lot. But I'm a big fan of Wimbledon.
I'm a big fan of the Australian Open, and I have to say that one only because I'm the only person I know who sets an alarm for 3 and 5 a.m. just so I can watch certain people play because of the insane time difference that there is between.
I can't claim to do that a lot, but I do it maybe every once in a while, especially if it's a big time match going on, like Nadal, Federer. Here's actually the story behind this year's. I had to come in early to do traffic on Tuesdays, so like a lot of times, it's like boom, I was watching the match live while I'm working, so it was actually pretty cool.
Right. And it's the first one of the year. Everybody's coming off
exactly.
a little bit of a break, so you don't know. The U.S. Open's really cool.
It's one of those things too where like the sports world doesn't even know what's happening sometimes.
Exactly.
And you're like, this is what I have. Get on my level.
You're like, okay, at 7 o'clock, ESPN 2.
Yeah.
the lesser of the ESPNs are dedicated from 7 o'clock at night to. And
meanwhile, Mike and Mike are just complaining. Oh, we're going over to ESPN News. Are you serious?
Exactly.
Tennis.
And then you got the U.S. Open, which is always fun. To me, it's an underappreciated sport, I think, because of how much time they put into it and how exciting it really can be when you learn it.
Exactly.
But Wimbledon is so different because obviously clay courts are different than the hard courts. Grass, I think, is just totally different.
I've never had the opportunity to play on grass, which I've always wanted to. It changes so much. Tennis, a lot of people are like, oh, well, if you can hit the ball hard, you're going to be successful. That's not the case. Grass is the prime example of that because it kills. This is why Stan Wawrinka is the worst at Wimbledon of the four because he's got the best one-handed backhand of all the players right now on tour. Mm-hmm. And it hits the grass and just kills any momentum that ball had. Right. And it makes everybody just look like, oh, okay, that's moot. I'm just going to return that back now. So, right.
But no, I do like the Australian Open. I think I'd love to go to Australia and experience that. Mm-hmm. U.S. Open is probably second.
And your sleep schedule would be okay.
Yeah,
it'd be more on par.
But
I'm with you.
I'm gonna go. Let me see if I had to make a prediction right now, who I think is gonna win the Wimbledon titles. I'm gonna go Andy Murray on the men's side. On the women's side.
Oh, gosh. Dead air.
Yeah, this is tough. I thought Pliskova looked really good.
Okay.
Better than I thought she would at the French Open.
Think she can recover from that colossal meltdown?
And I think she can.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Here's my bold statement. I don't think Ostapenko will make a deep run in Wimbledon. And
I can see it.
And before we close this, I do want to point out it is nice to have Petra Kvitova back, who won. Actually, there we go. I'm going to say Petra Kvitova
he's changing it up.
Makes a run because she won Wimbledon in 2014.
So you're sticking with.
And she just came back, for those of you who don't know, to play the French Open. It was her first match back since a stabbing incident in which an intruder came into her home. So we're really glad to have her back and certainly hope for the best because she's been one of the top players.
You're saying she's gonna make a
deep run. I don't think she's go. I'm gonna go Pliskova for the win.
Oh yeah, I told you I'm picking Venus in Wimbledon on the girls' side in Wimbledon or women's side, excuse me. And the men's side, you know what? I'm gonna go brash out there, and I know he was your guy first. Like you're the one that was like he's gonna do well, but I'm gonna go with Thiem.
Dominic. Okay, I just wanted for
Dominic Thiem.
Just so we can.
Is he not good?
I don't know. That's what we're gonna find out.
Grass, you're about to come.
How
you're gonna like? He has a first
round bold
exit.
of a pick is this?
Every single grass tournament, he's barely made it to the second round.
All right, ready for this?
Oh gosh,
his best result at Wimbledon.
Probably second round, third.
Second round in both 2014 and 2016.
He's a different player now, man.
He is lifetime at Wimbledon. He's played there 3 times. he is 2-3.
Bold predictions, man. I'm telling you. If I get both of them right, Taco Bell.
In fact, it is his worst tournament. His worst Grand Slam. He's got a 40% winning percentage at Wimbledon. 73 the
You're trying
US
to get
Open.
me to change my pick because you don't want me to be
60
right.
at the Australian. No. I like the pick. I'm just saying. I think he might be another one of the Stan Wawrinkas where he's a really good power tennis player. And
that sounds right. And then he'll probably get up against a Murray, and then Murray will take advantage of him. But I'll stick with it.
Does Isner go 3 days in one match? The 11-hour thing? No, with Mahou. You're saying yes this year?
Oh, yeah. No,
because what is Wimbledon without something crazy?
I'm actually gonna I don't know if I'll be there during Wimbledon. I think I might be there during Wimbledon next year.
In England?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say yes. It will happen next year.
All right.
Well, I'm there. I don't know. Yeah, but that'd be insane. That's the difference too, right? And not to because we already went pretty long here. But that's the difference between Wimbledon and other Grand Slams, right? Is that Wimbledon
doesn't have lights, I don't think. So
they don't have lights, but there's a different system, right? So like at the fifth set or the third set on the women's side, you keep going until someone wins by 2.
No, the U.S. Open is the different one. The U.S. Open is
the only one that's a tiebreaker.
Is a tiebreaker in the fifth set instead of. So what happens is the Isner-Mahou thing where it went 70-68 in the fifth set. That can't happen at the U.S. Open because of the fifth set tiebreak.
Right, there it is. I knew I was on the right track for one of those, but we'll have a reaction probably to that one because I'll be home right around then. So we'll have reaction to the Wimbledon probably at some point up on youtube.com/team1045. The video that's already there is our thoughts on the first 4 games of the NBA Finals, a little bit of Kevin Love controversy talk, which if you don't know what Kevin Love controversy is, you can check it out. And that was with our good friend Drew Zolgar, myself, and Cody. That's also up on youtube.com/team1045. If you're listening to this after Game 5, might be a little dated, but it'll still be a good listen, especially if you hop about, what would you say, 20 minutes in to listen to that Kevin Love talk. It's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I thought it went well for all the people that, all the different sides and the angles that we took. For being basketball, we did great, everybody.
So for Cody Marshall and Merrick Hammond, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time, or we will be with you next time on 1045theteam.com and youtube.com/team1045. See you later.
Can't wait.